Kaguya-Sama Love is War has been a great thing to use for anime of the month, and well, it's a simple fact that it is overall a great show. And it kind of sucks that we're gonna have to basically end things off here for that series for now. Who knows, whenever I choose to bring it up again in maybe future videos and discussing on other random topics that just pop into my mind when talking about that show or that series, blah blah blah, manga, blah blah blah. But it's time to move on to other things. But before I go ahead and do that, I might as well go ahead and do the final review. I'm going to give the official rating that I give this series, and I hope it is absolutely satisfactory to all of you. But before I dive into all that, please be sure to like the video and subscribe. It really does help out, and make sure to actually watch the video because algorithm cares more about the watch time more than anything else. I would highly appreciate that. Hey everyone, what's up? I am CTV Motionless, you can call me Savage, and welcome to Anime of the Month, where, well, we're wrapping things up. This is the final review. So, intro, activate. Alright, so just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to be breaking this down into 5 categories. We're going to be breaking it down into story, art, characters, soundtrack, and overall enjoyment. So I hope you guys don't mind this kind of style. I just think it would be much more fluent, and it can actually guys understand my points a lot more, well, fluidly. So let's get started into the story. The story is actually much more differently than what I actually expected the series to be about. I only have seen some clips from the anime prior to watching it, and I made sure those clips I watch in general weren't really plot relevant into this series. So a lot of things that I actually presumed about the series was just outright wrong, just to put it bluntly. So I was actually very pleased that I was wrong. Now, by the time I actually started watching this series, it was already on its 3rd season, which thank God I was, because if I wasn't, I was going to be craving this series way too much than I actually should. We've seen many stories where they had the classic trope that 2 characters like each other, but one is trying to figure out how to confess and such as that, and they make cheesy moves and blah blah blah. But this time it takes a different approach. Instead of focusing on the idea of, oh, I'm going to try to confess to them, it kind of follows the idea of, no, I'm going to try to get them to confess to me. And I thought that approach was much more differently than the way that we've seen anime for quite a while. Also, it's kind of nice to see a lot of relatable moments in that regard, but I can save that for later. Let's just focus on the story overall, which once again is really good. They managed to actually take typical, like, you know, cheesy romantic tropes and make it different. And what I mean by making it different is by the fact that majority of the time when these romantic tropes happen, let's be real, it's not that realistic. We don't really find it enjoyable. Yeah, some of us go ahead and say, oh, how kawaii, but let's be real, it's not like we can actually relate to it or anything. No one does these things typically. And here's the thing, even in this series, no one does the things that they're going to be doing. However, it's actually now used in a way more comedic way rather than being an on-the-fly romantic way. And when there is genuine romantic moments, in the sense of it's not actually planned and it's actually going off of volition and just on sheer motivation of said character, it actually makes those romantic moments actually feel romantic and not planned or forced, if that makes any sense. The thing that makes this whole series actually really great for a romance series is that it doesn't heavily rely on the romantic element of that series. You can actually go there for multiple reasons. You can actually watch this series for multiple reasons, whether it be for the romance, maybe it's for the comedy, maybe it's just for the characters themselves. There's a reason to always actually watch this show, and I do think that it's because of the story. The story actually did such a good job at making you care about characters, want to see them succeed, and actually sticking along for the ride. The story has also done a really great job at pacing, where you can actually stay interested in the actual series long enough. Once again, I was actually able to watch this series straight through, without stopping, because the pacing was proper. And even if you were to watch the first season, stop watching for a while, and then you decided like months later to pick up the second season, you'll actually remember most past events, because usually the way they wrapped up the season, it goes right into the next season necessary to continue the story, which I did like that quite a bit. And I do believe that their pacing is done at such a well pace that it makes arcs not feel too long, despite the series only having about 12 to 13 episodes per season, which when it comes to arcs, it's really difficult to actually have an arc be too long. Sometimes it's hard to actually care about some of the arcs, because when you only have 3 episodes to give a damn, it doesn't really work out that well. But the story writing has done such a great job that you actually can watch about 3 to 4. Sometimes they expand these arcs long enough, but they put it in pieces where you can actually enjoy it rather than feel like you're being overfilled with something, which I did once again enjoy quite a bit. Moving on to the art, I have to absolutely say that the art style is actually quite unique enough to actually stand out. What I mean by that is, when it comes to anime, the issue that I do have with a lot of them is a lot of the times they're not really distinguishable from each other. You can almost slap any character from A1 Pictures into another universe and you would have no idea that they came from another series, unfortunately, because a lot of art style in the anime category just pretty much just looks the same. But the good news about Kaguya-Sama Love is War is it actually managed to make their characters actually look unique. The art style is different enough where, of course, you know you're looking at anime, but you can actually, if you grab them and place them in Persona, or if you place them in Shirobako and shows like that, you would know that they are out of place, and that is something I thoroughly enjoy. I do like when art styles for anime are unique enough where you can actually recognize what series they're from. But if you were to go ahead and make something in that universe's art style, you would actually be able to tell where that art style came from. It's sort of like how Dragon Ball Z has a very unique style, or even Persona, other series where you can just tell where it came from overall just from the way it looks. And I think that is actually phenomenal. Okay, up next is the OST/soundtrack. And that being said, I'm gonna knock this part out the way because it must be said, but their openings are bangers. Oh my god. If you do not like any of the Kaguya-Sama Love is War openings, you're lying. I don't believe you. You're actually gonna need to give me evidence that you do not like that opening, or any of their openings in general. They're all just beautiful. All of it. Don't at me. But that being said, let's get to the more serious portion of this, where we're going to actually talk about the good news about the OST. The OST does a good job at making you feel what you want to feel. You actually, the background music, that's what I'm referring to. It's a good thing that whenever there's a certain moment happening in the series, the soundtrack does what it needs to do, and whatever it needs you to feel, you start to feel it because of that soundtrack. Where I actually think that if the soundtrack wasn't there, you would be okay, but it is definitely there because the story alone is actually just really good, where soundtrack is almost not entirely needed. However, the soundtrack is actually so good that if you had this on silent, like the dialogue, no subtitles such as that, and you just have the soundtrack kind of guide you in how you're supposed to feel during certain moments, you would know exactly how you are supposed to feel and what kind of mood and what kind of moment you are viewing at the very moment, which I do think the series did quite a bit of a good job in that regard as well. Yes, I know I'm kissing the series ass too much, but it's just one of those things that this series just did a really good job on the soundtrack as well. That being said, let me actually also compliment the background noise that they took the time to actually do. Now, mind you, they were very careful at their setting. The setting is where it actually just shows that it was very clever, basically. Whereas they were able to make sure majority of the time, most stuff that happens is inside the student council room. And the good news about that is you don't have to worry too much about background sounds. You don't have to worry way too much about anything. However, when they did actually go onto the school grounds or out in the town or to another school or somewhere else that was not inside of the student council room, they did a good job with the background noise as well. So it made the place actually feel alive and not some void of nothingness, which a lot of anime even nowadays do, which shocks me. I don't know what's happening as we keep moving forward in time where we get better technology and stuff as that. It looks like our quality of stuff is just going down. It blows my mind, but that's another rant for another day. Maybe it'll be a Savage Sundays episode. Don't know yet, but whatever. Moving on to the next thing. The characters are all likable and very relatable as well. I actually found it very challenging to find a character that I disliked in this series. And that includes, if you go into the manga, the bad guys in the manga as well. Even though, alright, I'm trying not to put any spoilers in there, but even with one of the bad guys being misogynistic, it wasn't, I still didn't hate him, really. Now, mind you, I hated him enough because, good writing, you're supposed to make sure you hate the villains. I'm not a huge fan of the whole sympathetic villain thing too much, simply because I'm tired of every villain being like a sob story, blah, blah, blah. But that's, once again, another rant for another day. They did such a good job with the characters that you kind of like almost everyone that is present. There's not a character that I truthfully dislike. For example, like last week I spoke about Yu Ishigami and why he is one of the most lovable characters in this series. Now, mind you, the best character in the series is Maki in general, but that's beside the point. Don't at me. She's the best character. If you got problems, let me know in the comments below. But there's really no character I disliked. Now, mind you, the character I liked the least is Chika Fujiwara. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean I don't like Chika. I actually like Chika. Even though she be sometimes a bit of a bitch, I like her. The thing is, though, she's just not my favorite character. Doesn't mean she sucks. It just means she's not my favorite. I mean, all the characters I actually like because they're relatable. They have their own arc. They actually have their own personality. There's no character that feels like an empty vassal, at least within the main cast and supporting cast, where they have no personality. Even Kashiwagi has personality. I was not expecting that broad to have personality. I ain't going front. I thought once her and her mans got together in the very first season, that was it for us, and we were gonna only see them referenced, and that was it. But no, she has a whole personality, and every character does, and I like that. Me likes. And now, when it comes to enjoyment, if you couldn't tell already, I thoroughly enjoyed this series. It was one of the best in a long time in regards to the romance category. And the reason why I can tell and just outright say I enjoy this series is because once again, I watched it from episode 1 all the way up to like season 3, finished it all. And about a week, I think, me and Q made sure to watch it in increments at least so we can actually enjoy it. But we watched it straight, which we hardly do for a lot of series, unless it's 12 episodes and that's it. Like if it's already just 12 episodes, we're like, yeah, we can blast through this in like 2 days. Or what we started doing is we now watch it like 2 episodes a night so we can actually enjoy the show. But beside the point, we were actually able to watch the show and keep watching, and not being tired of the show. The only reason we stopped watching the show at one point is because other shows updated and we wanted to go watch them. And then after we watched all our shows, we went back to watching more Kaguya-Sama Love is War. So overall, this is a series I have to say I enjoyed in a long, like one of the few shows I enjoyed a lot in a really long time. So it felt great to finally have a show that I just overall liked just like that. In conclusion, Kaguya-Sama Love is War has got to be one of the greatest, one of them. They're up there in my top 10 for romance comedy anime of all time. One day I'll actually make a top 10 rom-com anime of all time list. I just need to make sure I rewatch a bunch of shows because I watch a lot of rom-coms and my opinion may change as time went on. Who knows? Maybe Say I Love You isn't my absolute favorite despite the fact that I watched it like 9 times. But whatever. I'm going to go ahead and just say it is definitely up there. It is up there, probably in the top 5 even. It is just one of those shows that you can watch as a newbie in anime or even a veteran in the anime game. And it's something that I genuinely could even recommend to normies. Like if they barely are into anime or they don't really care too much about anime like that, which, you know, hey, power to them, it's okay. I'll let it slide a little bit, you know, whatever. You could even recommend this series as something just to put on as background noise and actually just enjoy, because the dialogue is funny, the characters are likable, they're very relatable, and I think the story overall is quite good. I think the only reason someone would not like this show is if they outright just didn't like anime. Like they actively disliked anime. No matter how good the story is, no matter how good everything else is about it, they just don't like it. I don't like those type of people. I hate them. I hate those type of people where they will strictly not like something only because it's this thing. Where it's just like, come on, at least like, there's way too many good qualities. But that's another rant. Not gonna go into it. Let me just give the final verdict for what this show is. And I rated Kaguya-Sama as an 8.4 out of 10. It is just that good of a show, that enjoyable, and I do think that almost anyone that is even slightly interested in anime can enjoy. And I would challenge you to find someone that did not actually like this show. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, cookies and milk. And I'll see you guys next time for some more anime of the month, which we're going to learn if heroines do actually run the show. I'm just letting you know right now that they don't really. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Jane.